Welcome to Witch Hunt, the podcast of the witch trials. I'm Josh Hutchinson.
And I'm Sarah Jack.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a special episode. We're talking about the Remembrance Day just held in Hartford, Connecticut on February 1st to recognize all of those who were accused of witchcraft in colonial Connecticut.
Really looking forward to talking about this because in the moment when we're making everything happen, it's just going by, but getting to sit here and reflect on it, talk about the things that were really important. I'm so happy we found time to do this.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be able to dissect and appreciate what just happened this last weekend.
Yeah. This podcast rolled out because of the Connecticut witch trial exoneration efforts. And this remembrance event was a celebration of that exoneration and then a remembrance of those innocent victims.
Yeah, this is something that we've wanted to do for a couple years, and everything came together this year to make it for it to happen. It took over a year of planning and a lot of different people getting involved, getting their hands dirty to see this through. So much planning and preparation and setup work.
Persistence.
Oh, persistence. That's a good P word.
Yeah. Yeah, we were persistent.
Definitely. We knew this needed to happen. And so, along with all of these, just dozens of other people that it took to make the exoneration happen, and then so many people it took for this to happen. There's so many people volunteered their time and their services and professional talents. We had a reading of a play. We had people doing photography, people bringing in flowers and doing a remembrance ceremony. Saturday was the day, and waking up that day, knowing it was going to happen, I was just so excited and eager to get downtown.
We were really prepared. We weren't really hustling around or anything. We had really had everything planned because there were so many people working on it. So everybody took care of different aspects of the preparation, but we were still busy. But we loaded up our sign and our technology and our awards that we gave to the advocates and headed downtown.
At the old State House it's right downtown. It's probably a mile or something away from the new State House. And it's just a lovely building. It's got this little golden dome on it and very stately.
Yeah, it's a beautiful museum now. And the team there made this event possible by inviting us to host this event in their courtroom. It was so beautiful in there and ready to go. And you can do this type of event anywhere. You could do a library or a school or a historical society, but kicking off our first big event like this at such a special historic place just felt right and powerful.
It was so appropriate to be in a former seat of the state government, because the state government is essentially the continuation of the colonial government. And it was the colonial government that prosecuted everyone because witchcraft was a felony. Most of the trials were held in Hartford, possibly on the same ground where the old State House was later built. The original Hartford meeting house had been there, and many of the examinations and other proceedings may well have taken place right there on the land that we were on.
Yeah. But that day on February 1st, many of us came together to do something really important. And the other part that made it important was our attendees. It was a full house. Every seat was taken. It was really exciting to know that we were going to have that much support and that those attendees were community members, they were descendants, they were historians, they were teachers. It was really great, and it did fill up.
It was so special seeing all the seats full while we were up there being the MCs, and you're looking out on the crowd, and everyone, they weren't just present, they were present for the entire thing. Everyone looking at the faces and watching the emotions rolling through that room during the different elements of the program.
Yeah. Sometimes my experiences, I'm just giving a presentation about the work we do or the history, there's an eagerness, a spirit of eagerness, and, "Oh, what is this about?" But this was different. This was like people really knew why they were there in their seats, and it was a celebration and this acknowledgement. It was powerful.
Mhm. Began with stirring words from Representative Jane Garibay of Windsor and Windsor Locks, who was one of the two legislators who originally proposed HJ 34 to exonerate those who were accused. Her words were so powerful.
Seeing her walk in and getting to greet her and thank her, oh, it was amazing. It took me back to the project and all the work that was done, but having her there as a part of this, it was so important. And Senator Anwar was there. He is another reason that the resolution passed. And for them both to come to this event really signals what a critical effort it was, and that it's not just done and in the past. It's the stepping stone for recognizing this injustice and continuing the conversation and learning more. And then, of course, this memorial. We got to announce that there's a memorial plan.
And then after Representative Garibay spoke, Connecticut performers Deborah J. Walsh and Ginny Wolfe presented their original play, The Last Night, which tells the story of the last night that Rebecca Greensmith and Mary Barnes spent in jail.
It's a very creative and remarkable telling of what that night could have been like for those women. And if you get a chance to attend it sometime, make sure you go. It's not just for me, and part of it's because of how much I've looked at this history. Part of it's because I am a descendant of a Connecticut accused witch, but it just is an amazing work. And their performance of it takes you to the jail. I mean, you feel transported, you feel their emotions, and it's just a really important piece. And I'm so grateful that they made it. And I'm so grateful that they've continued to share it and have found opportunities to put that story in the community. It's an important telling.
It's a two-woman play, and it's just so engrossing watching them go through all of the different range of emotions, the whole spectrum from sorrow and anger to joy and laughing with each other. They just go through everything. And there are times I laughed with them, I cried with them, I was angry with them. And looking around the audience, if everybody in that house was enwrapped, engrossed in that production, just watching how the actresses express their emotions was just something that you have to see.
Yeah. One of the things that has been important to a lot of the advocates is how these trials impacted their children. It was really important to Tony all of this time. In fact, when he's done his memorial services at the community bricks that are dedicated to Alice Young, and I think he's done it over at the ancient burial ground where there's also a brick for Alice Young and Mary Barnes, but he always includes a rose for each victim and one for the children because of what they lost. And this play, Mary and Rebecca are mothers, and how their execution is impacting them as mothers comes out in this play. And it was very touching.
And with Rebecca Greensmith, she was condemned along with her husband, Nathaniel. So their children lost both parents. But then after that excellent performance ended, we had a little intermission, and
Took a
then we
breath.
came back, took a breath. Everybody got to enjoy refreshments and hang out and mingle for a while. And, the interaction, the networking, the engaging, the catching up with people we hadn't seen in 2 years was such an important part, all that camaraderie
Yeah.
there.
I also want to mention that in attendance via live stream were some of our colleagues in other countries, global advocates, were able to observe our event. That was really important to have them there with us.
Right. I know it was viewed all the way around the complete other side of the world in places like India and Ghana and Portugal. It was widespread, the people engaging with this.
So, one of the things we wanted to take time to do at this event was to recognize individuals because there have been years of sacrifices, risks, collaborations, and all of that built the success together. So we were able to first, we thanked and acknowledged the hard work of Representative Jane Garibay and Senator Anwar.
Yes, we recognize them for their hard work to get the exoneration resolution passed, which definitely took a lot of behind the scenes effort in the General Assembly to get everybody on board with it. And we really appreciate that. And we're able to thank Deborah and Jenny for doing their play for us and for all the work, because it's not just this one, The Last Night. They've done several different productions over a course of many years about the Connecticut witch trials. And it's stories about these women and what they went through and their dedication to that. And we find the arts to be such a powerful vehicle for historical information and for understanding what people went through. And of course, we recognize Tony Griego and Beth Caruso of CT Witch Memorial. And like I said, Tony's been involved in this. In 2005, he got involved with other people in, coming together to say, hey, these individuals haven't had their names cleared yet. It's important to see justice done, no matter how long it takes.
Yeah. One of the things that really strikes me with these advocates and volunteers, Tony, Beth Caruso, even though they have done all of this work, they acknowledge and talk about those that have been alongside them along the way, doing the work with them. They worked on the exoneration resolution for the town of Windsor for Alice Young and Lydia Gilbert. And that's such an important part of their journey, and hearing them talk about the leaders who came together, the community members that came together, other descendants. Nobody ever in this group, in this work, you don't ever hear someone just talk about what they've done. It's always who they've done it with. And that is another thing that makes Connecticut's acknowledgement of this history a powerful work. It's taken a lot of effort and longer than it should have at a lot of times, but persistence and many, many people.
Mhm. And we were also able to recognize Dr. Richard S. Ross III, the author of Before Salem, Witch Hunting in the Connecticut River Valley, 1647 to 1663, which is the most comprehensive book that there is in existence on the Connecticut witch trials. Hundreds of pages dedicated to Connecticut. It's a very special book and
It's
very important in getting people to notice that there were witch trials in Connecticut. So it was very helpful for the exoneration process.
Yeah, and it's interesting when he talks about how it came to be. He's a professor. He wanted his students to have a resource to learn about it. He didn't expect it to be so far reaching, but it is. It's a resource we used to familiarize ourselves with the Connecticut witch trials. We also had a special guest by video there, Dr. Kathy Hermes, who would have received in person acknowledgement as well. because what she did is very significant.
She played a key role in drafting the original language of HJ 34 that was proposed in the General Assembly.
She recorded a video that, again, everybody was hanging on every word. She did a great job, but what she was sharing with us resounds with the truth, the injustice that happened, and how we took these steps for historical justice, why we should have done it, how we did it. It was really powerful. And that was an enjoyable part of the program, too.
Very much so. And then after that, we had our panel discussion, which featured Senator Anwar, Representative Garibay, Dr. Ross, Mary Bingham, Tony Griego, and Beth Caruso. It was a phenomenal all-star panel. They all just hit home runs. Every answer that they gave was so powerful and meaningful.
Yeah. There's so much to be said about the history and the innocence and the injustice and the justice and the modern crisis. It wasn't the modern witchcraft attacks that are harming women, vulnerable children, vulnerable men. It's not an unusual thing, it's a common thing. And it's just a normal part of the conversation for us when we're talking about the colonial witch trials. There's so many parallels to the experiences of the historic victims to what we see happening every week in this world. And there wasn't a person on that panel who didn't acknowledge the injustice past. Most had something to say about the current situation.
A lot of the members of the panel had clearly been moved during the course of the exoneration process. When Dr. Leo Igwe visited from Nigeria, he was in New England doing a speaking tour, and he was able to go to the state capitol and speak with Senator Anwar and Representative Garibay and others. And that was really, you could just see how much that still means to the legislators who were able to interact with him and hear him speak about the struggles with modern day accusations and the harmful practices that happen as a result of accusing somebody of being a witch.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about this, we have lots of really powerful episodes. We have multiple episodes with Dr. Igwe, but several other advocates around the globe. Take time to listen to those and to learn what kind of efforts are being done to help people and why they're finding themselves victims of violence today due to witchcraft fear.
Yes. So it was a very important panel to have a great discussion talking about the history, the meaning of exoneration, and also the present and future, what's happening now and what can be done about it.
I also want to mention our friend William Schlode. He is the 12-year-old or so, 12, I think, who in 2023 gave in-person testimony at the hearing, at the committee hearing, that really reached many of the committee members, those who were going to be voting on if this resolution got to go to the House for a vote. He gave really powerful information and arguments that day about justice. And so we asked him if he would like to make a display for us with the victim names and some of the local history on there. And he brought a really wonderful poster display. Our attendees really enjoyed looking at it. It was striking because you saw all the names. It hits you how many people this affected. That witch trials, it wasn't just Alice Young. She was the first, but there were dozens of accusations after her.
William's really a remarkable young man, and he's so passionate about the plight of the poor children, the unfortunate children who lost their parents. And that really captivated the Judiciary Committee back 2 years ago. The members of the committee responded more to William than to anyone else.
They did.
And it was because he's talking about the children. And everybody can relate and understand the vulnerability of children.
And I think one of the things that's remarkable about William is he had his own feelings about it. He knew what was just and what wasn't just, and he spoke to that. And when you hear a child speaking about injustice, how do you not listen?
Right. We were fortunate enough to have Sherry Kuiper, who is an Alice Young descendant, preside over a very special remembrance ceremony. She is the historian general of the Associated Daughters of Early American Witches.
Sherry has done previous remembrance ceremonies for the society's ancestors, and it was really wonderful to have her in from Maryland, where they are currently considering an exoneration of their accused witches right now.
That's true. The remembrance ceremony was very moving. Sherry's portion, the words that she said about this, about what had happened to these victims, what they went through, was so moving. And then after Sherry had a few words, we got to hear a poem from the wonderful Jennifer Schlow.
It's a poem that comes from the Innocence Project, and it was really meaningful to have Jennifer read that to us.
Mhm. Just to reflect upon the innocence of the victims. And we really wanted to make that a central theme of this, which is why we named the event Remembering the Innocent Victims of Connecticut's Witch Trials, because it's just so important to remember that they were not in any way guilty of what they were accused of as far as witchcraft and covenanting with the devil.
No, they were not.
Mm.
We had beautiful flowers there, and the flower laying ceremony was led by Alice Young descendants Sue and Patricia, followed by the exoneration project members and the attendees. Anyone who was interested in carrying a flower and laying it while the names were read was able to participate, and it was really a lovely part of the ceremony.
So many people joined in, and you just see how moved everyone was going up there, laying a flower on the table with the rest of the flowers and while the names were being read of the victims. It was such a powerful ceremony.
We had white roses representing the hanged victims and beautiful green carnations representing all of the accused individuals.
We also placed a bouquet on behalf of the modern day victims, what's going on in our world right now, to remember that this hasn't stopped. Witch trials never stopped, they just changed shape.
It's a continuation, unfortunately. It's the opposite of what Mary Esty pleaded with the courts in 1692 over in Salem. She said that no more innocent should die. And I hope this world starts listening to her plea.
Yes. Also, one of the major moments in the ceremony was a very special announcement that we had the privilege of helping to make, which is that there is a project underway. You can see a sign behind Sarah right now that says Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project Memorial Fund. That's because a memorial is in the planning stages, is in the works. And we had a very special partner there who came up and spoke about it along with you. Christine Jewell, who is the coordinator of Hartford's Ancient Burying Ground Association, came up and gave some remarks about the memorial project and the Ancient Burying Ground involvement, because our organization, In Witch Hunts, our nonprofit, is partnering with the Ancient Burying Ground Association to have a monument actually placed at the Ancient Burying Ground right there in downtown Hartford.
It's significant because there are individuals buried there that were involved in the witch trials.
We don't know where any of the witch trial victims of Connecticut is buried. We just don't know. So having a new memorial is like a resting place for them all, and a place that descendants and others can visit and pay respects and have something a physical location to finally go to process emotions and reflect upon what happened.
It's really wonderful because the Ancient Burying Ground does historic tours. And in the fall, author Richard Ross and Christine Jewell both lead tours talking about the history there and how it relates to families who were part of the witch trials. So we're going to have this monument in a place where there's education and programming available. That is a significant win. The educational piece is really important. And I'm really as happy about I'm just really, as a descendant and a podcaster and someone who loves to learn, and knowing how incredibly important education about witch hunts is, knowing that they're going to have educational experiences for guests there where there is a tribute to this history is exciting to me.
And we know that the Ancient Burying Ground Association, their mission largely is to uh, preserve and maintain the ancient burying ground, including the several different memorials that are there right now. So we know that this memorial is going to be in good hands. It's going to be looked after and cared for.
So we are in the early stages. There's lots and lots of work to be done, but we are at the stage where there's lots of people coming together to say this is going to happen. And we're definitely going to be looking at the beautiful memorials in Massachusetts for the Salem witch trials. There's several beautiful projects there for us to learn from and to consider when the planning for what the Hartford Memorial can be as that comes together.
It's going to be such a special site, and it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of work to get it done, but it will get done. Uh,
It's going to get done. There is lots of decisions to make. Where is it going to sit? What is it going to look like? When will the city approve it? So there is still some steps, but the project is rolling forward. And that's something we couldn't say a month ago. A month ago, we were hoping that this event would encourage interest in a memorial. In fact, had planned on speaking to the importance of finding a spot during this event. And shortly before the event, we got the really fantastic news. So we were able to talk about the memorial as something that was happening instead. And that was really exciting.
Yeah. And after we concluded events in the old state house, we took a field trip to the ancient burying ground, a very cold field trip. We did not stay very long, but we were able to lay flowers on memorial bricks that have been placed there for Alice Young, Mary Sanford, and Mary Barnes. So that was very moving. And we got to all see the land that this memorial is going to go in. So,
Yeah. So we look forward to doing this important memorial project with you, our listeners. We're ready for you to help build that memorial fund so that we can build the beautiful tribute that this history deserves, this long, long overdue monument.
yes. And if you were unable to join us in Hartford this past weekend, you can still participate in the event. Win TV, the community television station from Windsor, came down and recorded the entire event. So it's all going to be available on YouTube shortly, if not already there by the time you're listening to this. So we're excited that everybody's going to have the opportunity to engage with this wonderful content, hear what all the speakers said, watch the last night. That performance is just emotionally involved and fulfilling. It's a very rewarding experience.
Yeah. Thank you, WinTV. It's a documentation of this really special thing that came together. And I'm so glad that they were willing to do that. I'm so proud of them. They've always been there for Alice Young. There's a lot of other things that they've covered about Alice Young's history. And they've really done their part to amplify her voice. We're really excited about what is next. We look forward to planning the next remembrance event. And there has been space made for this history in Connecticut. And we all need to be supporting it and growing the story, including an exhibit. We need to find a place to host an exhibit that tells a story.
Yes. So thank you so much to everyone who was involved in the planning of this event, the execution of this event. Thank you to the Old State House for hosting it, to the wonderful staff who really bent over backwards, was so helpful and friendly with us. It really was phenomenal.
And I thank those who came from a far distance to see us. We got to meet our friend Richard Height. We got to meet our friend Antonio Stuckey too. Yeah.
Yes, we know that people came in from out of state to be part of this, and that was so special.
There's an attendee who is creating a witch trial event for a social venue in New York City later this spring. And she saw our advertisement for this event and came to learn about the history and to gather information for her own event she was making. So there are big ripples that happen when people come together to find justice and to tell stories that have been largely ignored. So be bold, learn about these victims, these innocent victims, and talk about what you learn about.
Thank you all for coming out for the event. Thank you for all your hard work to get it done. And thank you to everyone who joined us for this special episode.
Great job, Josh.
Great job, Sarah. Great job, everyone.
Great job.
Great job. And be sure to tune back in on Wednesday for a new episode. And we'll see you then.
See you then.
Have a great today and a beautiful tomorrow.